Actions on the polity continue to trail a recent call made by Mama Daura, a nephew of President Muhammadu Buhari, to the effect that competence in leadership rather than selection on the basis of tribe or ethnic group should be the basis for electing a Nigerian president. Support and criticism of the call have come in equal measure from both sides of the political divide, polarizing further the multiplicity of political opinions in the land. Our next guest will be Alhaji Tanko Yakasai, a man who in his time has been sufficiently involved in Nigerian politics for him to be able to articulate a definite fact-based position on the subject matter. Earlier in the week, read a bit of when he reacted to Mama Daura's call in the This Day newspaper report by saying that Nigeria should stick with the current rotational presidency option because of its guarantee for stability, for national unity, and inclusive politics. We welcome the elder statesman, Alhaji Tanko Yakasai, to the program today. Great to have you, sir. It's an honor and a pleasure talking to you this morning. Sir, you said, in your words, that we should stick to the rotational presidency for stability. Is stability better than efficiency?
Well, we are learning. You see, if people or countries like Britain, United States of America, and others, after 300 years more in a democracy, we who just started about 60 years ago ought to be prepared for adjustment until everything is all right for us. The question of rotation, zoning, as you know, was introduced to Nigerian politics by defunct National Party of Nigeria. It was the first political party to suggest zoning and rotation. The idea was that at the time when the party was formed, the party was, I think, to the best of my knowledge, the only political party that has succeeded in being seen as belonging to everybody in Nigeria. Its national chairman was Chief Akiloye from the southwest. The presidential candidate, later President Shagari from the north, and Vice President Alice Kwemi from the southeast, or east at that time. At that time, we had the, three regions mantra all over the country: north, east, west. So the three came from different regions. And we felt that it was a perfect arrangement, at least as a temporary situation, until we get settled down. So we recommended, I was a founding father of, or founding member of the NP, and so it was recommended that the party should adopt zoning and rotation. It came by accident. Just looking at the configuration of the leadership, national chairman, presidential candidate, running mate came from three different regions that we knew at that time. So we said, if this arrangement can be entrenched into the constitution of the party, then we'll give everybody a sense of belonging. There are minorities, and they decided that the minorities from the south should produce Senate President, and the minorities from the north should produce the Speaker of the House of Representatives. That was the arrangement at that time. And apart from one little adjustment, which was brought about by necessity, that the MPN was not able to command majority, that necessity forced MPN to go into an accord. They didn't call it alliance, they called it accord with the NPP. So the position of the speaker was then zoned to NPP. And NPP decided that the speaker should come from the former Eastern region. But we saw that we had a very good team, so we adopted it and we put it into the constitution of the party. Now, after that, I realized that whenever there is a new dispensation, this question of sense of belonging to everybody is creating a problem. So a recommendation was made. In fact, when we went to the 1994-95 Constitutional Conference, it was insisted by our compatriots from the South that zoning and rotation should be entrenched into the Nigerian Constitution. There was a heated debate. Eventually, we settled that the Constitution should provide a provision whereby political parties or political associations shall not be registered as political parties unless they incorporate zoning and rotation in their constitution. And it was all accepted. We recommended it to the military. The military also accepted it. The unfortunate situation was the death, sudden death of late General Sani Abacha. Otherwise, the constitution would have been promulgated and it would have contained that general understanding we reached at the conference. And since then, even where political parties did not come out and say they have accepted zoning and rotation, in their own arrangement, take APC. I've never read its constitution, but look at it. They took the presidential candidate from the north and the running mate from the southwest. And they are now talking, some of their members are now saying, okay, now the presidency should go to the south. And this is what the Igbos are talking about. This is what the minorities are talking about, southern minorities in particular, and also northern minorities because they cannot be left behind. So zoning and rotation will take care of the aspiration of the different groups in the country. Once it goes round at least once or twice, everybody will be reassured that will be getting an opportunity to produce the president. Well, this is not my best arrangement. Huh? You want to ask a question? You want to talk?
No, please go ahead.
Hello?
Please go ahead, sir. You may continue,
okay.
Sir.
It's not my best, it's not my best choice, but I have to realize that stability of and unity of the country should be paramount. Nobody has a perfect constitution, and every constitution has a provision for amendment. By implication, those who drew up whatever that constitution is made that provision because they know that one day there will be need for adjustment. That's why they made provision for amendment to the constitution or even changing the constitution as a whole. So I am still feeling that if the military had allowed us to continue from the Second Republic without any interference, probably the Nigerian people on their own would have jettisoned rotation and zoning and adopted that everybody should be considered on his own merit. But unfortunately, the military has scuttled the journey. And so we are going back to square one anytime the military intervened. This is the reason why we still need this zoning and rotation. When we are matured enough in the system, probably 2 or 3 elections, I think everybody will be satisfied that he will get the chance, he will be able to get the president to produce a president. But my own, originally I was in support of presidential system of government, thinking that if the whole country is his constituency, the president will tend to treat every part of the country or give his attention to every part of the country, and therefore will do away with complaint from one area to another. But unfortunately, this is not our experience in Nigeria. So I think the best thing for us, if I don't pray for a certain change to parliamentary system, but if I can have my way, I would recommend that we go back to the parliamentary system of government.
Yeah, which was the question I was going to ask you, Alhaji Yakasai. First, great delight to have you on our program. Yeah. I mean, for a man who is over 90, you look great, you sound great, and I hope that before the end of the program, we would like to ask you what is the secret so that the younger generation can learn. You're on record as having said the presidential system of government is not working. And you had recommended a return to the 1963 Constitution. What is wrong with this presidential system, if you may help us define it? And then, of course, you know that the 1960 Constitution was problematic. The 1963 Constitution also had issues, although we used it up till 1966. Are you, in a way, recommending federalism or restructuring of Nigeria?
Well, in all honesty, it is unfair to say 1963 Constitution has failed. It was the coup of 1966 that truncated 1963 Constitution, not because Nigerians didn't like it. And, you know, when the military under Murtala Muhammad appointed a constitution drafting committee, they indirectly, you know, muted the idea of the presidential system to the members of the constitution drafting committee. I don't want to say members of the constitution drafting committee were zombies, but by and large, they were nominated. I think the military were clever to nominate majority of members who will listen to them, because I happen to know that when they were making the list, there was a debate as to whether they should incorporate or nominate Malamine Kanu or not. Those who were against nominating Malamine Kanu, they said he's a very controversial person. If he goes, he will criticize everything. Then the other man said, this is the more reason why we should put him there. Because if he is there, if he is part of the people drafting the Constitution, if you criticize it, people will not believe him. If he is out of it, if you criticize it, people will believe him. So this is the reason why they agreed to put him there. Now, the second person was Chief Awolowo. They argued among themselves whether they should nominate Chief Awolowo or not. Some people said no, he should not be nominated. The others said no. Then one of them, you know they are clever, they are Nigerians like you and me. So one of them said, look, what you do is put the name of Chief Awolowo, but put Chief Rotimi Williams as chairman of the committee. Chief Awolowo will reject the nomination. And this is what happened. They put Chief Awolowo into the committee and announced Chief Rotimi Williams as the chairman of the committee. Without saying so, Chief Awolowo said he will not serve on the committee. He didn't serve on the committee. Instead of, is it 60 or 50, it came -1. And that one was Chief Awolowo, who refused to serve. So it is unfair to the 1963 Constitution for anybody to say that it has failed, because it is not the Constitution that has failed. It was the over-ambition of our military people. Now, I hope we learn from experience, because when the military took over power, they ended up fighting themselves, fighting one another. Most of our history of our coups were one military overthrowing another. So it was the only 2 times that the military overthrew a civilian. First, when they overthrew Tafawa Balewa, the second one they overthrew Shagari. But all the time, if you count it, the military against military coup is more in number than military against civilian coup. So it became more problematic to the military themselves because it brought about disunity among them because of that power. So, but the Constitution Drafting Committee, thinking that the idea, because Murtala said they should draw up whatever constitution, whether parliamentary, he then said, or presidential, or any other. But nobody has any other system except presidential or parliamentary. Well, monarchy is there, but now it's modified to be incorporated into a parliamentary system. So when he put that word into their mind, I'm not saying that they are zombies, but I suspect that the military did some little homework, and eventually the Constitution Drafting Committee recommended executive presidency for the country. And everybody accepted it. I accepted it too, thinking that the whole country will be the constituency of the president, and therefore the president will see the whole country as his constituency, and the whole country will see the president as their own. But it's not the case till today. So I think, but the trouble with presidential system that we are operating, which is copied from, by and large, from American presidential system, is that power is concentrated in the hands of the chief executive, president and governor. All the complaints that we are hearing about corruption, super corruption, mega corruption, and so on, is associated with that. So, because under the presidential system of government, you cannot remove the president except by a resolution of the two chambers of the National Assembly, supported by 2/3 of the total membership. Now, it is known to you and me that it is not a difficult thing for the president or for a governor to corner 1/3 of the membership of the legislature and win them to vote against anybody who is thinking of going back to any system other than the one that vested powers in them. This is our main headache. I hope God will see us through and get us out of this predicament, but it is a big predicament in Nigeria.
Alhaji, I just want to ask, because some would say the increased clamor for restructuring is due to the failure of the zoning and rotational power that we currently have, and vis-a-vis, good governance and inclusive politics. What is the purpose and the benefit of this zoning and rotational powers as we have it, beyond stability, like you said, and maybe inclusive politics to some extent?
Well, in the first place, for anybody to be elected as a president, he needs the support of 25% of the votes in 24 states out of the 36 states of the Federation. It's not something that anybody can command easily. So the result was that in the process of producing a president, some kind of arrangement or alliances are built. The APC is an alliance between the old party of Buhari, I can't remember the name, and Tinubu's party. Is an alliance that produced Buhari's presidency. So underneath is an alliance between one section of the country and another. Well, getting an individual to master this support is possible. I don't say it's not possible. There's nothing is impossible in this world. But it's difficult. That is number one. Number two, which is even more serious, is that if the president is not performing, the only way to remove him is by impeachment. The process of impeachment, as you know, and I know and everybody knows, is that you require support, like I said before, of 2/3 of the total membership of the National Assembly, Senate and House of Representatives. And it will be a stupid man who is the president who cannot muster 1/3 of the membership to truncate any motion of impeachment against him. The one in America, even Clinton, had to, struggle to survive the impeachment motion against him. So in Nigeria, it will not be that difficult. That easy to get 2/3 of the membership of the National Assembly. That is number one. Number two, in the parliamentary system of government, you need only a majority of 1 in the parliament to pass a vote of no confidence on the government. So when the government is not performing, now under presidential system, we say the president is not performing. But actually, it's the government that is not performing. When the government is not performing under parliamentary system, all members needed is to move a vote of no confidence on the government. And when the vote is taken, and the majority by single one vote is in favor of the motion of no confidence, the government will resign, and a new one will be set up, and that the fear of that alone will make whoever is in power to sit up, to make sure that he has not done anything that will warrant a vote of no confidence in his administration. And the whole idea of vote of no confidence were invented as a means of check and balances against the people in authority, so that they will always remember people. And they will remember people through their representatives. They are afraid of the representative. But where you remove this, or you make it difficult to remove your president or governor, then we are all in trouble. And this is our situation now. That's why I said we should go back to parliamentary system. But I know it's not an easy thing. It is going to be very difficult. The governors and the president will team up, only 37 of them. By tomorrow, whoever is trying to change the system, they will defeat him. It's not an easy thing. Unless you are by any chance, you have the governors and the president tuning to the idea of changing the constitution. And I doubt if we have that possibility at present.
All right, thank you so much for that, Alhaji. A lot of people argue that even when we had the parliamentary system, that it was the character of those that ran the regions that mattered the most, and the level of competence, not even because, they were allowed to run the regions or they were the most prominent politicians. Take, for instance, what a Michael Opara did in the East. Take, for instance, what an Awolowo did in the South. And take, for instance, what the Sudana did as regards development in the North. So a lot of people are arguing that why can't we just get people of great character in? Because even the parliamentary system we talk about that worked tremendously well was because of the character of the leaders.
Well, you see, we are learning. It's a learning process. And we all agree that what we have today is not perfect. So we are looking for solutions. And you cannot rule out any possibility of changing. You don't commit any sin when you find that what you think is right is not right after all. When you go back to the old system, you didn't commit any sin. You didn't do anything against the will of God, against his instruction or his. So it's not. Don't let us be arrogant that we will not change. We'll just stick to something, even though everybody agrees that that thing is not working. That you don't do that. We are trying to perfect. The Americans themselves or the British are still changing. If after 300 years, America will change or will look for change, and Britain will look for, which is older than even American democracy, then I see no reason why our chicken feed experience will begin to fear of changes. Changes are instrument of progress. Don't let us be afraid of changes. Let us change for the better. Certainly, the problem with this question, or the Constitution, is the concentration of power in one individual. The concentration of power in the president and in the governor. Because the Constitution provides that they will appoint the ministers of their own choice. I know that they will submit the list to the legislature. But how many times did the legislature turn down a nomination by the president or by the governor? So I think we should not be afraid of a change. Whatever we do.
On that note, sir.
In fact, France, with their age in practice in democracy and so on, General de Gaulle introduced a constitution, presidential constitution, with parliamentary system going together.
On that note, sir.
I see no reason why we cannot try that one.
On that note, sir, we'll take a short commercial break, but we'll come back. Please stay with us and the conversation will continue. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Morning Show here on the Arise News Channel. Still with us, live from Kano, is Alhaji Tanko Yakasai, elder statesman, founding member of the Arewa Consultative Forum, founding member of the defunct National Party of Nigeria. Alhaji, thank you for staying with us. Well, before we went on break, I would like you to complete what you were saying. But then beyond that, I would like to ask you this question. You are also on record as having said that the North does not have any advantage over other regions in Nigeria. Now, somebody from Eastern Nigeria, Igbos, may not agree with you. The people of the Niger Delta may not agree with you. And as you speak, we're looking for, forward to the politics of 2023. Some Nigerians are saying, look, power should leave the North and come to the South, either East, Niger Delta, or the Southwest. What do you think? Do you think that power shift should be the guiding principle for 2023 general elections in Nigeria? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, you know, we have a multi-party system in the country. And we have two major political parties, APC and PDP. There are others, but these are the two major ones. Now, APC, through Buhari, is ruling Nigeria. And it is the issue of APC now, deciding that after Buhari, they should have their candidate from the South. Now, I don't know. PDP, I don't know whether they will stick to that decision, have already decided that they will zone the presidency to the North again. I know that there is agitation, particularly from the Southeast, because they have never tested it. Southwest has tested it. North has tested it. Is still testing it. South has tested it through Jonathan. and now in Southeast, which has not tasted it, I have tremendous sympathy with the people of Southeast, because out of the three major ethnic groups, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, it is only the Igbos that have not tested it. And that does not satisfy the yearning of the MPN leaders who were thinking of zoning and rotation should take care of the yearning of every section of the country. But I want to say that our compatriots from the Southeast should wake up and realize that Nnamdi Kanu will not be the type of people, or my good friend Ezefe, who will take the presidency to the Southeast. Because you need 25% of votes from 24 states. There is no 24 state in any section of Nigeria, north or south. You must pick from the north and pick from the south. Instead of, because nobody can dash a political office, elective office, to anybody. Yes, you can dash ministerial appointment to your agent, to your, what do they call it? But you cannot dash an elective, or particularly like a governor or a president. It is a more complicated, it is more difficult. Well, by their own fortune or misfortune, the South is virtually a landlocked area, not only in terms of proximity to the sea, but also in terms of relationship with other Nigerians, Hausas and Yorubas. Today, the number of people in Yorubas that are skeptical in Yoruba-speaking areas, that I'm trying to say, are more skeptical of an Igbo presidency than anybody from the north. Why? Because northerners are not competitors to the Igbos, but the Yorubas are. What is the stake in Nigeria? The education and capital. We don't have the capital in the north. We don't have enough educated people. We will have one day, I know. There will be a time when we'll surpass the south. The time is coming, but it's not now. It's not there yet. So there is no serious competition between the north and the south, except the unfortunate ill feeling of the civil war. But all the same, if you go to any village or town in the north with a flourishing market, you will find an Igbo man there. And I will tell you, if you have the time, a 2-3 minute story. Some years ago, I lost a friend in Azare, Katagu, about 200 miles, I think, or kilometers from here. So I went and had a breakdown just on a village a few kilometers away from Azare, the administrative headquarters of Katagu. So I stopped to get my car fixed. While I was waiting with the mechanic to fix the car, somebody came to have his lunch. He ordered for, a traditional house of, I don't know whether I call it food. It's called Angwake. It's made out of beans. Originally, Igbos don't eat danwaki. It was a taboo for an Igbo man to think of eating danwaki. So as I was waiting for the car to be fixed, an Igbo man came. No, a girl hawking danwaki came to the Igbo man, Igbo mechanic. She said, "Oga, are you interested today?" He said, "Oh yes, I am." He told her the amount of money, and she put it. I was watching with surprise, and she put danwaki to the amount of money he mentioned, and he took it, and he stopped working, and until he finished that danwaki. After she left, then another one came with fura. This is like our pop. Then he told the girl to also mix fura for him. I was surprised. Before, an Igbo man was not taking that one. Then I saw Igbo taking danwaki and he would take fura. I said, wow. Then Nigeria is united. So after that, I know that in every busy village, now in northern Nigeria, you will have an Igbo man doing his business as if nothing like civil war has happened. Only the elite now remember civil war. But the ordinary man don't remember. They don't even think of that. So the relationship between the Igbos and the Hausa people is cemented. But I don't see cementing between the Igbo people and Yoruba. So now talking about, did you mention restructuring? You mentioned it before, not now.
Yes, earlier on.
I wanted to address it, but if you want to ask a question in particular about the restructuring, you can do that. Otherwise, I can go ahead and address the issue.
Yes, please go ahead.
From my own perspectives.
Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much.
Although by way of follow-up, before we lose track of it, just a moment, sir. When you said earlier on that the PDP has zoned the presidency for 2023 to the north, Kola Ologbodinyo, the spokesperson of the People's Democratic Party, called the studio to say that that is not true, that the PDP has not zoned the 2023 presidency to the north. You may continue, sir.
Unfortunately, I read it about 2 years ago or so. But if they have changed their mind, no problem. But I'm saying it was mentioned, it was published, I read it. I'm not in MPs, APP, what do you call it, APC or PDP. I don't have any party. I just read it. If they change their mind, is absolutely up to them. But I didn't know that what I read was not correct. If it is not correct, they are perfectly in order to say it's not correct. I've never heard anybody saying that what I read was not correct. But today I am told that is not correct. And I abide by whatever is the wishes of the people of Nigeria. So let us go ahead. So now, what was it that I was talking about?
You were going to talk about restructuring.
Can somebody help me?
Restructuring.
Eh?
Restructuring.
Restructuring. Yeah. Now, yes, I observed that since the discussion in Nigeria started about restructuring, I have never read where any northerner came out and said that he's against restructuring. I personally said times and again that I am not against restructuring because I don't know what it is. All I'm asking for, I want people who are the protagonists or initiators of this restructuring concept to articulate it in black and white so that everybody can read. Because we have our experience in this Nigeria. Only reason we are still in it, that APC, when they are contesting election last time, when they put forward Buhari as their presidential candidate, they came on the slogan of change. I hope you have not forgotten.
No.
If you have forgotten, others have not forgotten. They came on the slogan of change. And that carried a lot of Nigerians, and they voted for them. How many people can tell me what change has taken place in Nigeria for the better for Nigeria from 2015 to date? I don't see anyone. If anybody sees, I'm ready to accept, to listen to him. So I don't want anybody to make a bloody fool of Nigerians again by carrying our votes through slogans. We should pass the level of slogan, campaign on slogan, but that's why political parties are compelled to write manifestos. I know that the manifestos our political parties are presenting now are not authored by them. I know that they hire people with good English, good journalists to write manifesto. Most of the leaders, even the candidates, didn't read the manifesto. They would just pick one slogan that will appeal to the sentiment of the people, Nigerian people. This time around, I don't want this to happen to Nigeria. I'm 95. I'm praying God that I will live till I'm 100 or 105, like my grandfather. Or even if I can surpass my grandfather, that would be great. But I should be packing my things. I'm telling my friends, like Ayo, Adebanjo, Edwin Clark, and so, look, get ready, because we cannot live long enough like we did before. So if any one of us is able to live for 5, 10 years, 15 years from now, in fact, by the time I'm 105, I'm sure my children, they will not come out and say, and my wife will not come out and say it, but in their mind will be praying that, look, this old man, let him pack and go. I don't want us to reach that stage. So I feel that let the people who started talking about restructuring take time to articulate it. What will Nigeria look like when it is restructured? You see, I have an obligation, apart from my obligation to Nigerians, obligation to my children. I have 19 children. I produced 23, 4 died. 19 are now alive. They have their own children. I'm the only remaining child of my parents before they died. When they died, I was the only one. Now, I have 19 children alive. They have their children. Their children, they are about 60 now. Altogether, 19 plus me, 20 plus 60, 80. We are 80. Apart from my concern for Nigerians, I also, like any human being, have a concern for my children and my grandchildren. What do you have in store for my children and my grandchildren? I know even if I live next 5 years, you know, you'll be surprised the kind of food I eat, I ate 20 years ago, it's the same thing I'm eating today. If you go, you see I have a big bed just for, I don't want anybody to disturb me. So the area I carved for myself is about 18 to 20 inch. That is where I sleep on my bed, which is a double, more than king size. And my wife will stay at the other end. But I don't want to go. I know I will go. But I want to see what is it that those who are clamoring for restructuring have for me before I go, and have for my children and my grandchildren, and also for other Nigerians. You can't come and say restructuring. It's a one word. If anybody can understand what restructuring means, if you go to dictionary or to Wikipedia. But restructuring means different things to different people. Like the slogan of change. To me, when they were saying change, change, change in APC, I thought they would change this country for the better. If you take one simple or two things, the question of exchange rate of Naira to dollar, compare what it is today with what it was 2015, you can't say we've changed for the better there. If you look at NEPA, the amount of time you have NEPA now supplying power to you, now in 2000, and can you somebody remind me?
2020, 2020.
2020 is 2020. Yeah. Sorry, this is my problem now, forgetting things. 2020, So in 2020, what I know the
rate of power. Supply,
help me again.
You were talking about power supply in the year 2020.
NEPA, yeah, that's right. 2015, look, I'm speaking from my house in Kano. The amount of NEPA I was getting, the amount of hours of NEPA light that I was getting in my house in 2015 is less than what I'm getting now. You see, I'm forced to buy, and now in my house I have a generator and I have an inverter. Every day I have to use my generator, no, my inverter. If the line, the charge went off, then my generator before I get NEPA. This is what, so this is the kind of change. No Nigerian, I'm sure every Nigerian cannot say that we've changed for the better. So don't let people come with slogan, restructure, everybody will follow like zombies. No, this time we should begin to ask questions. What will the restructured Nigeria would look like for you, me, and our children, and everybody in Nigeria? This is what I'm saying. I've never opposed it. In fact, when my friend, the former Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Emeka Anyaku, forgive me, we Nigerians don't pronounce our compatriots' name properly. The Yoruba don't do that. Even in the way late Chief Owolo called me, at times he will say Tanko Yakasai, at times he will say Yanko Takasai. So it's normal in Nigeria not to be able to pronounce each other's name. So Anyaku suggested going back to 1963 Constitution. I came out to support him, not because I know it's possible, well, because I know he, coming from Igbo land, he can advocate for the return of 1963 Constitution. But somebody from Delta, next door neighbors, or from Rivers, or even Bayelsa, will not have the same prayer to God of going back to 1963 Constitution. Because 1963 Constitution means packing all the 5 minority states in the East, in the Southeast now, to put them together with the 5 Igbo-speaking states in the East. That is the meaning of going back to 1963. I'm sure when Chief Ayoku said it, he didn't do that calculation. But in any case, I thank God that I didn't repeat it. He kept quiet. I supported him. So let us know from those who are advocating for restructuring the blueprint for restructuring so that we can know what it means in black and white.
Alhaji, we've enjoyed our time with you so far, and we don't want you to go, but we have limited time. I do have a question before I find out the secrets to, you know, how good you look, apart from your sleeping position and your bed.
I'm getting tired because I don't want to drive the good girls.
Okay, so very quickly, you touched on political parties, Alhaji.
This one is old, he cannot, you see. I'm still, you can see now.
Okay.
So,
very quickly, touch on political parties, and I just wanted to find out more about that recommendation you made in that exclusive interview with This Day. You said the electoral body in Nigeria should, as a matter of prerequisite, make sure that political parties have zoning and rotation as a condition for their registration. Is that not an impossible task?
Yes, I think if we can insert into our constitution condition for registration of political parties, that insertion of requirement for registration, rotation, and zoning will help in stabilizing the situation. When it is time for us to do away with it, we'll do away with it.
All right.
Okay, hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Well, just before we go, do you have any message for President Muhammadu Buhari? You have attempted an assessment of his administration.
Can I sip water?
Yes, sir.
Please.
My throat is dry. Okay, now.
Any message for President Muhammadu Buhari on all the key issues that you have addressed?
I did not hear you.
I said, do you have any message specifically for President Muhammadu Buhari, particularly with regard to the various issues you have addressed in the course of this conversation?
Yes, my messages are to President Buhari and all Nigerians.
Yes, I mean, as closing thoughts, what will you be saying to President Buhari in terms of how to take Nigeria forward?
Well, I've never met him since he became the president. So any day I have the opportunity to meet him, maybe I will advise him on one to not all the items I've discussed, but I have quite a lot. But I have some suggestions to make. Sometimes I made such suggestions to people who are close to him. I don't know whether some suggestions are able to reach him or not, but I've never had the opportunity of meeting him person to person. And, you know, even before he became president, I think I can count on the number of occasions that we met person to person in our life. I think it's not more than 3 or 4 times.
But
I'm not familiar, because of, there's a big gap, age differential between me and him, that by normal day-to-day interaction, we never came across one another very often.
But do you want to share 1 or 2 of those suggestions with us before we go, sir?
Well, my suggestion is this, that 1, I'll direct it to our Igbo compatriots, that they should go out, seek understanding with fellow Nigerians. Tell them that, in fairness, they should be supported to produce the next president. But don't let them issue threats. Threat wouldn't work when you are looking for something like this, because threat doesn't get you votes. This thing is a matter of casting votes. When somebody goes into booth to cast his vote, it will be he and his God alone. So win his heart. Don't try to antagonize him. If you antagonize him, he will not vote for you. And he has not committed any sin or offense. So persuade, this is the reason why political parties campaign. It's just to persuade people. Election is a matter of persuasion. I will just send this message to my Igbo compatriots. I have a lot of them who are my friends, but unfortunately a lot of them have gone. But I still have some, even though they are not my age mates. Let them moderate their method of appeal for votes. But it will pay them better if they use better language in trying to win votes from Nigerians.
Well, thank you very much,
Then
sir.
secondly, you said two.
Okay, yes, sir, please go ahead.
I know I have the slide. You see, there are some few Nigerians, like this young man in Igbo land, Kalu, what do you call it? Nduka, is it Nduka Kalu? Whatever the name, Kalu. Let him advise people who are thinking like him. We are all better off in Nigeria. Like I said before, any village you go, you see the presence of Igbo. If you don't see him physically, you will see electricity bulbs bought from the Igbo. You will see spare parts bought from the Igbo, and so many other things. So even where Igbos have not been able to produce a president in Nigeria, they dominate economic life of Nigeria. In any case, British or colonialists came to Africa or to other parts of the world in search of market for their goods and source of raw material, cheap raw material. So the whole matter is the question of economics. When you dominate a market of 200 million people, you better be counting on them in your calculation. You stay in Nigeria as your country. Nobody can drive you out. You sell your wares anywhere you like. You wouldn't have that if there is no Nigeria. Nigeria will begin to look for Chinese. Chinese are more aggressive competitors than the Igbos. And in addition, they can produce. Igbos can only buy and sell. But the Chinese, if the Chinese can get chance, within a period of 5-10 years, you will see factories springing up from here and there, all over Nigeria, selling all the things that the Igbos are importing. If they will make them in Nigeria, people will not buy from the Igbos because the Igbos are tipping up their profits. The Chinese will sell because their profit is built in their production cost. So this is the world where China is everywhere, like the Igbos are everywhere. Igbos and Hausas are the people who go out of their original habitat, but the Yorubas don't. We are not like them. But see, the Chinese can go anywhere and they can stay. And Chinese can take Danwake tomorrow, Ofra. So I'm advising the young government, you see, we are finished. But the young government, tomorrow is for you. Don't destroy your future. Don't let some of our cantankerous people who are inciting you to leave Nigeria. Don't leave. Don't do that. It's not for your own good. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, sir. We've enjoyed our time this morning with you very much, and I'm sure that many of our viewers have also learned a lot. Thank you very much, sir.